sit down now?
Just make sure that you're listening up, okay?
Okay.
So that you're ready. Find your hands. Your families to go all day.
How long was your first opening piece? Okay, so we get started a little later. Good morning.
Can I just stop?
Not yet, because it's not quite 10 yet. You can start like a minute before. Yeah. gathering song for the month of August is number 1010, We Give Thanks. Please rise in body or in spirit.
Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Society. We do give thanks for this precious day, and it is so wonderful to see your faces out here, gathering in the sanctuary and the Religious Education Commons. We are grateful for a time of inspiration, reflection, and connection. Whether you're joining us today with joy in your heart, weighted with burdens, or searching for meaningful connections, we are glad that you are here. I'm Reverend Diana Smith. My pronouns are she and her. I'm a white woman in my mid-40s with curly white and brown hair, standing in UUS's pulpit, wearing a teal blouse, a black suit, and a red stole, and they do all go together, at least in my book. Through the window walls of our sanctuary, we connect with the natural world around us, where it is the kind of warm, humid morning that keeps the cicadas singing in the trees and the pollinators working, even as the fruit ripens on the trees, the squirrels frolic, and our glasses fog with moisture when we head outside. As we gather, we give thanks for this land and all who have cared for it over the centuries, particularly the Kickapoo, the Iowa, the Sauk, and the Meskwaki and the Oceti Shakawan nations. As people of many ages, genders, races, sexual orientations, classes, abilities, and health statuses, we know how important it is to come together and work together to create a radically welcoming spiritual community. As Unitarian Universalists, our faith expresses our core value of love through how we agree to be together and to support each other. We're guided by the shared principles, sources, and values of our living religious tradition. And this morning, we'll celebrate and explore how community care helps us live into our value of interdependence. Towards the end of this service, as part of that, we'll be talking about emergency preparedness at UUS and having a fire drill where everyone will be evacuating the building. And we will have a visit from the Coralville Fire Department truck if they don't get called somewhere else that is more urgent. So if you don't see them, it means that they're doing something more important than visiting us, and that is good, because that's what they're here for. Kids who are in religious education classes will be evacuating with their teachers, and after we evacuate the sanctuary, adults will need to talk to teachers before collecting your kids, but I'll tell you more about that later. Just keep that in mind. And if doing something with your hands during worship services helps you, we invite you to visit our soul work table outside the sanctuary doors to pick up something to work with. If you're newer to our congregation, we invite you to learn more about us after the worship service. If you're here in person, there will be greeters in the atrium and in the fellowship hall you can talk with. And if you're online, there's a link to a visitor form in our YouTube show notes that will help us connect with you. And now our call to worship comes from the Reverend Allison Palm, who writes, "We gather this morning on the brink of a new congregational year. Some of us come fresh from summer adventures, from wind and waves and sunshine. Some of us come broken down from summer losses, from tears and pain and heartbreak. Some of us come renewed from summer rest, from peace and solitude and contemplation. Some of us come wearied from summer monotony, from work and heat and sameness. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, whatever gifts and needs you bring, you are welcome here.
Our opening hymn for this morning is number 307, The Human Touch Can Light the Flame. This is a bit more of an unfamiliar one to us, so we will play it once first all the way through just piano before coming in singing. Please rise in body or in spirit.
As Unitarians, I'm Alan Swanson, a worship associate, and I have cerulean shirt on. Someone told me that's the color. I'm white, and I'm a white old Swede. As Unitarian Universalists, we light a flame within a chalice as a symbol of sanctuary and safety, to unite us in our worship and to remind us of our ongoing search for the light of truth. Please join me in saying our chalice lighting words as Lise lights our chalice. Life is a gift for which we are grateful. We gather in community to celebrate the wonder and mystery of this great gift. So let us now kindle the flame of our liberal religious heritage and renew our covenant of mutual love and care. Love is our doctrine, the quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, and to serve those in need. This we promise, this we covenant with life and one another. Each week we light a candle for justice and healing to acknowledge our interdependence with the natural world and with all members of the global community, especially those most vulnerable. We light this candle so that we may not be numbed to injustice and trauma, but rather find strength, courage, and love as we work in solidarity with others for liberation, justice, and healing. Together, we create resilience and hope. Today, as we light this candle, we're particularly mindful of the immigrants with intentions of hard work and becoming part of America's fabric, who are being arrested and imprisoned in detention centers or deported to who knows where without due process. We also consider the fire hose of other questionable government practices that diminish social justice and weary our souls. As I light the candle, let's hold a time of silence to listen to our hearts and bodies, or perhaps lift up prayers.
Good morning. My name is Nick Kaplan. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm the grateful director of Lifespan Religious Education here at UUS. I found it kind of adorable that we ended up scheduling our 101 Dalmatians song performance on the same day as the fire truck. Maybe that's just me. But I did have to chuckle when I saw that on the worship calendar. We've been working very hard this week. We've gotten 5 whole days to work on all of these songs and dances. And we, Andrew and Leah and I, would like to have our campers show you some of the hard work that we've been doing this week. I don't think there's anything else for me to say about that. So, without further ado, our 101 Dalmatians kids campers.
Listen to our puppy allegory. That's another word for funny story. Such Dalmatian bravery and glory. Meet our parents, Pongo and Perdita. Meet their friends called Roger and Anita. Life with them could not be any sweeter. Lean Cruella, she tried to take us away. She tried to ruin the day. Mean Cruella, she really gives us a chew.
Call me Mr. Bill.
Wait right there, we shouldn't get upset now. They don't understand a thing we said. Let's not tell attack it out instead. Now we'll all have some fun. You'll count when you're done. 101 Dalmatians.
Thank you. all can come right over here, because now we are at the time in our service where when our children and youth head to class, they light a lantern from our chalice here as a symbol of the love and hope that goes with them as they explore our faith. Today we will be exploring some of that community care and safety outside. So children, youth, and teachers, please hang out right here while Kepler, there we go, couldn't find you, where Kepler lights our lantern from our chalice. We'll all join in singing Be Open as children, youth, and teachers head outside for class. And Reverend Diana will mention this again later, but if you have a child going outside with us, you will pick them up from the labyrinth after the fire drill. Awesome, thank you.
Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibility. Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibility.
This is a poem by Reverend Julian Jamaica Soto. Everything is still on fire, despite your best efforts, in addition to living. It is clear that fire or not, you must level up in what it means to thrive. Right now, that means wrestling with the truth, in the fact that everything is not your fault. I'm sorry that everything is still on fire. Once hate catches, the winds of not my problem blow, and the blaze is hard to stop, but not impossible. Not yet is different from never. You have a response to systems of power and control and to the cost of suffering. You and your community together are the answer. You are not the only people of flame, but also a people of cold, clear truth. You know both where you fall short and where you flourish and where you still reach. Everything is still on fire, but all is not lost. You remain more nimble than steadfast, more unshakable than swayed by the latest rage. You are here to put out the ravenous flames and heal the world. Enough is enough.
I invite you into a time of meditation, contemplation, and prayer. Spirit of life, we come here today sometimes feeling that the world is on fire. Noticing the winds that blow hard. Listening for the flicker of spirit that tells us that hard is not impossible, that not yet does not mean never. We come to carrying sorrows and cares, grateful for a place to set them down, to share them, to laugh, to kindle joy a little more. Spirit of love, in this time when we are together, may we find the connection in community the care in other faces, the peace of a beautiful world, and the joy of laughter to help us take the next move, live the next day, grieve when we need to, and laugh all days. Amen. Blessed be. So the Unitarian Universalist minister, Reverend Mark Morrison Reed, writes that there is a central task of religious community, and that is to reveal the bonds that bind each to all, to reveal relationship, to inspire us, to strengthen us. Now, when we have a central task, we could say that this is what we are constantly exploring. What is constantly showing up in our worship services, in our play, in our work together, whether it is online, outside of this building, or here. We are constantly exploring that central task and endeavoring to help ourselves and each other move into more alignment with it, to discern the shapes of it when our egos, our exhaustion, our losses, our comfort, our desire for clarity, our fears, when life and the competing demands of the world get in the way. And so, as we think about how we care for our community as part of that central task, let's notice how we co-create it and strengthen it, the roles we each play, and how we grow from that. Reverend Julian Soto, Unitarian Universalist minister, says in that reading, you and your community, in other words, we, together, are the answer. As I think about community caring and how we express it, how we live it, one of the things that I am particularly mindful of is the lessons that come to me from gardening. Now, this is probably a lot about the season. My garden is one of the places I am spending the most time other than with y'all. And I am constantly in awe of how the plants grow and interact. Who's with me? All right. I was so delighted, I will tell y'all, in a meeting about a week ago with the stewardship committee of all things. When we started doing our check-ins, I mentioned my garden, and then everyone went around and talked about what they were growing, what they were learning from, and if they didn't have a garden, what they were noticing in the world around them. It did my heart so much good. Not just because I love to eat good food, and I do, but because I love our plants, and I love how they interact with each other. I notice that each of those plants has a different role, they grow a little bit differently, and it reminds me of how in our religious communities, we each have different skills and gifts. Some of us might grow prolifically, spread out like the zucchinis or the cucumbers. Some of us might produce in abundance, like the ginormous cucumber I found hidden under collard green leaves that, I kid you, was this big, that long, and that big around. I will show you a picture of it if you would like to see proof. Some of us grow in abundance and we find gifts hidden under a collard green leaf that we didn't even know we had, but that can feed our family for a week. How amazing is that? That gift may be something like teaching a class. It may be creating a food bank. It may be keeping it stocked. And it may be something completely different. I also notice how, in addition to all of us having different roles, in my garden, I'm reminded of the phrase that we take shifts for the revolution. Some of you may have heard me saying this before. It comes from Reverend Ashley Horan, who is now the leader of our Unitarian Universalist nationwide justice movements. Reverend Ashley Horan says we take shifts for the revolution because sometimes we all need to rest, right? Now, I am so grateful that in my garden, everything is not producing at once. I've got to say, after 2 months of eating cucumbers, some of which are this big, I was so grateful this morning to go outside and see that the cucumbers are starting to wither. Oh. But while the cucumbers are withering and starting to take their rest, guess what is starting to flourish? My tomatoes and my peppers. I think that this week I am going to get to do my first tomato canning project of the season. How amazing is that? So the cucumbers are taking their rest, the tomatoes are flourishing. Soon the tomatoes will be starting to wither, but my butternut squashes will be coming along, and I'll be harvesting them and rotating them and getting them ready to store in the basement to feed us all winter. How wonderful is that? We all get to take shifts for the revolution. Sometimes we need to grow and produce and be really active, and sometimes we need to be quiet and rest. We also get inspired and supported by each other. I love to think about my basil and my tomato growing together, nurturing each other on, giving each other complementary gifts, or my beans fixing nitrogen in the soil, helping those same tomatoes grow next year. And the peas that were there in the spring, helping prepare the soil for everyone else. In other words, we're all giving something else to everyone else. Oh, and my zinnias that are gathering in, that are beckoning in, all of those pollinators that are helping me have tomatoes and beans and squashes and just keep eating. We all get inspired by, we all support each other. And in these ways, kind of like our gardens, we help our religious communities grow. We help our communities find strength and support. We create community care. When the events of the larger world, when life, when conflict, when joy, when change happen, because they will, we all know that, then the central task of our religious community, the challenge to live love into the world more fully and fiercely, to create community, then that takes new shapes in the new ways that we explore it and are invited to create, and the ways that we're called more deeply into this work. We identify different shapes of love as we co-create communities that celebrate learning and growing, that seek to build from our strengths with the humility of knowing that we've made plenty of mistakes and are going to again. But we can always call ourselves in, we can learn, we can recovenant, and we can attend to how we build community anew and be whole human beings learning and growing together. One of those central tasks of our religious community, too, is liberating our congregations from the temptation to be neat and keep it comfortable. I will tell you, my garden is not neat. No matter how hard I try to keep it that way, something is always growing outside the bounds of where it's supposed to. Or there's a heavy rain that tips one of the tomato cages over and I have to re-straighten it. But that chaos, with some structure, helps make a bountiful garden. It helps the pollinators and all the other little critters keep my garden growing plentifully. And working with our congregations, helping liberate ourselves from the temptation to keep everything neat, to not have anything strange happen, that helps us have a bountiful, caring community. The care that's required when challenging societal norms, that is central, and it is appropriate to take care as we flourish, as we move with creativity, as we spark imagination. To go back to that poem by Reverend Julian Soto, they write, "I'm sorry that everything is still on fire. Once hate catches, the winds of not my problem blow hard, and the blaze is hard to stop. But hard is not impossible. Not yet is different from never. We have a response to systems of power and control and to the cost of suffering. We and our community together are the answer. We are not only a people of flame, but also a people of cold, clear truth. We know both where we fall short and where we flourish, and sometimes we're still learning, and where we still reach. Everything is still on fire, but all is not lost. We remain more nimble than steadfast, more unshakable than swayed by the latest rage. We are here to put out the ravenous flames and heal the world. May we be a people who do that together and are always inviting new people into the work. So may it be. Amen. Blessed, blessed be. And now, before we move into our offering, I'd like to take a moment to give our appreciation to Song Choi. Song has been with us for this past month as one of our summer pianists, and he is amazing, as I know you all will agree. This is his last Sunday with us, although maybe he'll come back as a substitute sometime, we will see. But this is his last summer Sunday with us, as Xing Hui will return next week. Song, would you please rise and receive appreciation from the congregation? Thank you. We are so grateful to you for sharing your gifts with us. Thank you.
How we give, what we do with our lives, our time, and our resources is a reflection of our values. In response to the abundance we are blessed with every week, this congregation donates generously to organizations in the community whose work aligns with our values and principles. The offering this month will be split among 3 nonprofits that support immigrants. The Immigrant Welcome Network of Johnson County, which provides a home to temporarily house immigrants, and the Escucha Mi Voz, Hear My Voice, which empowers immigrants with rights education amid growing fears, and the UUS's Equitable Local Lending Initiative Fund, ELLI, which Andy Douglas is here to discuss.
Not only discuss, but sing you a little song about it. Good morning. I'm Andy Douglas, and it's great to be here with you all. As you know, ELLI is a UUS initiative that offers small business startup loans and emergency loans to people in the community who are under-resourced. And we seem to be having a lot of success. We've made 8 loans so far, and they're starting to be repaid. We would like to expand our loan pool. So we're asking for your support today, and also On September 12th, we're having a big fundraiser with local Iowa City musician Dave Moore. I hope you can come for that. Yeah, Dave Moore. Personally, I believe everything goes better with singing, so I wrote a little song about ELLI, the Ballad of ELLI, with apologies to Bob Dylan. Now listen up, people, and I'll sing you a song about a new group called ELLI, where you might belong. We made 8 loans so far, and we're coming on strong. Helping people start businesses, how can that be wrong? The UUS are micro-lending. There's a chorus you can join in on if you like. Folks need loans, but the banks charge too much, with their interest and fees and surcharges and such, and those predatory payday lenders are so out of touch. If you ain't got credit, it can really be rough. The UUs are micro-lending. People want to live with dignity, to contribute to their community and participate in our democracy. But to do that, it may take some do-re-mi. The UUs are micro-lending. I'm coming to the end of this, my report. Thank you for listening, thanks for your support. With your generosity, we won't come up short. I just hope Bob Dylan doesn't take me to court. The UUs are micro-lending.
Thank you, Andy. That's amazing. And I have to follow it. All cash contributions go directly to our community partner agencies, in this case, and the Community Common Fund. You can follow the instructions on the screen to give online, and if you're writing a check, please make the memo line to designate the purpose. In addition to assisting our community partner, you may contribute towards your pledge or make a gift to support our operating expenses. The offering is a sign of a commitment to this free congregation, which is completely supported by the generosity of all who join us. As we give and receive the offering, may we be transformed by our giving, and may the world be transformed by our gifts.
And now, as song has prepped us, we are coming to the time that we've all been waiting for. We're going to talk about disaster preparedness. And our folks back there can show the next slide. You're not going to evacuate yet. Before you do, I got some things to tell you all about. Because disaster preparedness is not simply about fire drills, right? There's a lot more that can happen. So, I'm going to take you through a little bit about this building and where we find things to help us in case of different kinds of emergencies. Now, the first thing, probably the most common thing that we need are first aid kits. Yes. Many people come to me many days asking for, not all the time, don't worry, it's not that common, asking for where are first aid kits? Who knows where first aid kits are? All right, hopefully after this, many more of you will be able to raise your hands. So on these maps, there are blue triangles for our first aid kits. One of the easiest to access first aid kits is out in the big cabinets near the library. There are more in the office area, some back here in the Religious Education Commons, one in the kitchen. There are maps like this posted around the building if you're having a little bit of trouble finding and noticing where all of those things are. And after we get back into the building, I hope you will go and find where first aid kits are. We also have an automatic electronic defibrillator, an AED device, which is useful if somebody has a heart attack or basically collapses, because AEDs can tell, when you put one on someone, they can tell what's going on and give them the kind of shock that's needed. And they can really save lives. We have an AED where that blue and red circle is. It's out here in the entryway. Look for the sign. And is anyone here trained to do first aid, AED, CPR, that kind of thing? Look for those hands, folks. And if something happens, these are the people to look for, or just shout, "Is somebody trained?" And hopefully somebody will come running. We got lots of people in this congregation. Fire extinguishers are another really important thing to know about. The fire extinguishers are located where there are red dots. There is one out here in the hallway. There is one in the common office area, kitchen area, religious education area. Again, you can look for where those actually are after we come back inside. The last thing I want to tell you about before we do our fire drill is tornado shelters. Who remembers where our tornado shelters are? Okay, we got a few people, but not enough remembering where those are. I am not going to make you go to our tornado shelters because I still want you all to like me, and I still want you to come back after this. But our tornado shelters are essentially this little closet in here. Not everyone's going to fit in there. We also have all the bathrooms. We have the bathrooms off of the nursery, if you're listening in there, that bathroom off of the nursery, bathroom off of the pre-K kindergarten room. There is a closet and a pantry back in the kitchen and fellowship hall area, the common office area. It's not going to be comfortable if we have to shelter in there for a tornado, but there is enough space for all of us. So if we ever hear those alarms and it is not 10 a.m. on the whatever Wednesday morning it is where we hear the alarms, that is where we will go. We will go to those places. Last but not least, I want to talk about evacuation in case of a fire drill, which you all are going to do very shortly. We have exits back there. Front doors you usually come in, the ones onto the patio. We have ones from the fellowship hall. There is a back door from the kitchen. There's one from the religious education wing. When the fire alarms go off, if you are in the front of the sanctuary, if the people are in the religious education area, we head out that door. If you're in the back of the sanctuary, head out those doors, head out all the doors. Head around the building. The evacuation area is on the west side of the parking lot near the solar panels. Children go to the labyrinth with their religious education teacher. If you have kids, you go to the labyrinth too. You check your kids out from their teachers, and then you can take your kids with you. But don't forget to check the kids out from the teachers. Otherwise, we will be frantically wandering around, wondering what's going on. Don't just take your kids, okay? We don't want to have to come into the building if there actually is a fire to find your children. That is basically it with evacuation. The fire trucks do come around here to the back in case of a fire, in addition to coming into the front of the building. So if you head out those back doors, we do ask you to head around, preferably this way, through the back of the building, through the play area, and then out to that evacuation area, so that if you're taking a little bit more time and the fire truck is coming around on the north side of the building, that you all don't interfere with each other. The fire alarm is going to be quite loud when it goes off any moment now, so do be aware of that. We will hear it quite well. And usually, in case of a fire, if we do this later on in the year, we've never had to do this, but if that happens, you're not supposed to grab your coats, but just kind of try to head right on out. Anybody have any questions for me about emergency evacuation and preparedness? Because we're not going to go until the alarm goes off, which is going to happen. But just like any alarm, we never really quite completely know when it's going to happen. What's your question, Sarah? Oh, yes, you all are supposed to, we're going to get popsicles out there at the evacuation area, but then after the alarm is off and we get to head back inside, there will be some light refreshments in the fellowship hall as well. So yeah, come on back in. The alarms will no longer be blaring, and we'll be able to just enjoy our fellowship hour. What other questions do you have for me about emergency preparedness? Come on, people have questions. Yeah, Kathy. So the question is the path to the evacuation area easily accessible? So this path out here is crushed gravel. So if you head out the east doors, there will be a crushed gravel path that you will be on. It is accessible for wheelchairs. If it is easier for you to use a cement pathway, a concrete pathway, heading out the front doors of the sanctuary, or the religious education door will get you onto cement paths more quickly, as opposed to the crushed gravel pathways. Yeah, definitely. Great question, because accessibility is always important. Yes? Yes. 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 So this is a great explanation about AEDs. Thank you for the clarification. So AEDs are self-explanatory. You do not need to be a trained medical professional to use an AED. Basically, you take somebody collapses, you get somebody to grab the AED. You also tell somebody to call 911. Calling 911 is one of the things that is forgotten most often when there is an emergency. So when there's an emergency, when somebody collapses, somebody's supposed to call 911, somebody else gets a first aid kit or the AED device, and then comes on over, puts the AED on the person. It starts giving you, turn it on, it starts giving you instructions about what it wants you to do. They're amazing. So you don't need to have somebody trained, but it is also great to call out and ask if there is a medical professional in the building, because sometimes they can be helpful too in an emergency situation. Other questions for me? Yes? Yes, so yes, there is just one AED. It is out here in the atrium. It is near the entryway. It's near the nursery doors, actually. So when you come back in after the evacuation, look for that. It's got a big sign that says AED. And once you know where it is, you'll wonder how you didn't notice it before. John. So yes, so the exits all do have these wonderful green exit signs, shiny exit signs above them. So they tell you you can go out those directions. And if you're heading out this way, Alan's going to be pointing the way today. But yeah, so there'll be those kinds of instructions too. Other questions? Yeah, Victoria, if you could please, are you having trouble? Can you turn okay, I think maybe she didn't hear that we wanted her to, hopefully. Yes, okay, yes, Gail. So, yes, so the question is about these maps being reduced and printed, and yep, they're around the building. Head on out.